Shalom. All praises to the Most High. Anoka said, praise be to the earthly mother, the Pachamama, and all of her earthly angels, the Erkadeshoe. Excuse me. Praise be to the Holy Spirit, the Kahe, in the name of his only begotten Son, Motsah the Lamb, unification to the nation. I'm gonna have to take a break, man. My voice is shot, but I said that I had a surprise for you guys, and I wanted to announce it. No, it wasn't the video that or the series that I'm doing on Ireland. No, this is something crazy. This is something crazy, man. So we're in this book, The History of Ancient America, interior to the time of Columbus, providing the identity of the Aborigines with the Tyrians and Israelites. So, um, this book it exposes so much, and I don't think that the writers of this book understand that they're actually exposing who the Israelites actually are. Because we know that more so the North American Indians, not all of them, but a lot of them, the ones up north, they are Shemites. Uh, Israelites could have been in the mix, absolutely. But I don't think that they're necessarily from Israel. That's the land of Abraham, right? But I don't know if they're Israelites. The reason why I say that is because they're much more righteous than we are. You know, a lot of those people are Aki's people, and some other of our cousins. But some of those people are not necessarily Israelites. The Indians who are out west, you know, the ones in Central America, South America, the idol worshippers, those are probably our people. But the Indians of North America, some aren't. I don't know. Like everyone's too mixed up for me to even know, because we had strangers living among us. We had the Canaanites, right? We had the people of Japhet, all mixed up with us and other strangers and things of that sort. So I don't necessarily know who's who, but the reason why I'm saying that is because when they came here, they're identifying the different cultural differences, right? And they're pretty much claiming that these people are different. They're pretty much saying the Indians of North America are much more righteous than the Indians of Central and South America. But little does he know that that's actually proving who we are. Because again, the people who want to, say, oh, the Spaniards or the English, they were just embellishing the truth. Do you realize that the Most High would not have sent them over here if that were not the case? If we didn't sacrifice people and eat people, then what did we do then to make the Most High do what he did? You have to ask yourself these questions, man. And it even says in the scriptures that we literally copied the Canaanites, right? So if we're doing Canaanite things, that shouldn't come to any surprise, should it? I would hope not. But let's start, because this is a very interesting letter that was written to Frederick William IV, King of Prussia. And this person, he writes in such a pretentious way, and he blows a lot of smoke up this guy's ass. So, I'm going to try to give you what I think it's saying, because I had to ask another brother to read it for me, because I was just like, what is this guy trying to say? Like, why doesn't he just say it? But I'm going to read it. With feelings of enthusiasm founded on the contemplation of a peaceful and patriotic king, do I inscribe to your majesty the first volume of an effort to delineate the history of ancient America. So he is trying to tell the story of the history of ancient America, right? As I said, my voice is shot. If in the following pages your majesty should recognize your own portraiture, I don't even know what that is, in that of Haram the Great, it is such as truth and history have designed and colored. Fawning flattery and false adulation have not added even a thought to embellish where patriotism has so nobly uh, consolidated. Consolidated. So he's trying to compare this person to King Haram, right? The person who lived in Tyre, but was from the tribe of Naphtali. Excuse me. The building of Solomon's temple at Jerusalem by Hiram of Tyrus, or Tyre, was not more generous and liberal in religious sentiments than were your own. See what I mean? He's blowing a lot of smoke up his ass. As Protestant king of Prussia, and laying the cornerstone of the Catholic Cathedral of Cologne, the fervent words at which ceremony time will hallow within its archives. Nor was your own branch of Christianity forgotten or neglected, for the sacred city of Jerusalem previously recorded your majesty's magnificence in promulgating the divine faith of salvation. For the peace of Europe and for the prosperity of Prussia, for the advancement of religious and civil liberty, education, literature, the arts and sciences, may the disposer of events prolong the life and intellectual vigor of your majesty to the utmost verge and venerable age, when the monument shall enclose your earthly remains. Goodness grief, man. Damn. He treated him like he's his wife. And they'll pretty much show a difference between the patriotic race of the North and the people of the South, right? So they're saying that there's a difference between the Indians in Central and South America and the Indians of North America. Okay, that kind of led me to believe that the Nephites probably went to North America, but I'm sure that there were some in Central America. I don't know, but it seems like they were in North America. Let me see. Let me see where I wanted to start. This person's also trying to convince the readers of of the Israelite origins, but they're trying to make a differentiation between the Indians of Central and South America and the Indians of North America. And we're going to find out why. The present writer will not yield to any man in the firm belief that the aboriginals of North America, but only North America, and the ancient Israelites are identical, unless controverted by the stern authority of superior historical deductions. We, therefore, have formed an original theory in reference to the natives of the North and those of South and Central America, together with the newly discovered ruined cities in and around Guatemala, but by that theory have separated into two distinct races or people, the Aborigines of the Western Hemisphere. So he's trying to say that the Aborigines of North America are a different race from the Aboriginals of South and Central America. But here's the thing, even according to DNA, they're all the same people. They're all related. So he is not talking about a literal, lineage, because he's just going by their culture. He's saying he knows that they look the same, otherwise people wouldn't be able to confuse them, according to him, right? So he's saying that their customs must be the same. So he's talking that their religion and their belief systems are different, right? Let me see. The lately recovered ruins, cities, and temples in Central America, and of which no ancient record is to be found, have shattered the chain of acknowledged histories to atoms. And until that chain is again united by a firmly established theory, education herself must pause, ere she can, with the wand of truth, point her rising children the history of the world or its inhabitants. The suspicion has asserted that all the natives of the continent of Columbus might probably have been originally Hebrew extraction. The assertion has been made in doubt and trembling, for writers have been confounded with essential contrasts in the religious customs of North and South America. There were no analogies between them, which circumstance should have compelled historians to pursue another path of inquiry, and so attain a conclusive truth, but they found a Gordian knot which they could not unravel, and assuming the impatient weapon of Alexander, they destroyed it. The architecture, however, the ruins of Copan, Palenque, and Zumal, or Umal, I don't know how to say that, and their time-honored associates, has furnished a Rosetta Stone to aid the new translation of the hieroglyphical history of now ancient America. And if our theory is true, not only have the Israelites walked the land where the sun bestows this last smile, but another nation, in which retained the primitive language of the Diluvian world, previously trod that soil as aborigines. So you know what he's trying to say? He's trying to say that the Israelites of North America, or the Indians of North America, are the Israelites. The Indians of South America are a different group of people. But he will admit that these people have pre-flood knowledge. So in essence, he's saying that these people are older people because of their ruins and their knowledge. But he's saying that the Indians of North America, who are Israelites, must have gotten there later because they're not as old as the Indians of Central and South America. So this is everything that I'm getting out of what he's saying. So I'm trying to stay free of hijack, you know. And I don't even know what he means by north. What does he mean? Like northeast, northwest? Like, what are you talking about? I don't even know. Because how are the Indians of the Northwest any different from the Mexicans? You know, they're pretty much, they consider themselves the same people. They all come from Atzland, which is in the Northwest. So, whatever. If not, the Almighty Father who gave the thought will pardon its application. Yes, beyond all the bounding feelings, leaping at events, at once classic and venerated, do we contemplate another branch of our theory. For if we do not write in error, and our perfect faith assures us that we do not, then the trembling hand which sought the doubt of the Savior. Okay, let's just move down. He's taking too long to make his point. Taking as a basis for our illustration the rules of argument, we will first identify one race and then prove the existence of another is not only apparent but absolute. Oh, wow. See? Wow. Absolute, right? Because in the 1800s, you're going to know so much, right? You can make absolute statements. We'll just take what you have to say and then we'll make the decision. We'll find out. Are the Central and South Americans Canaanites like you think they are? Well, okay, well, let's just read what you have to say. For the convenience of the general reader, the word Mexican, until the true name is established, will be applied throughout the following pages to all Central and South Americans. For the word South may be confounded to that portion of the Republic of North America, so denominated, and especially with the American reader. The fundamental error with all writers upon the Aborigines of America is that they have viewed them as one people. Authors have therefore been confounded by the different customs and ceremonies of religion and practice in the two great divisions of the continent. They have seen that the natives were to a certain extent in one part of the vast domain idolaters, and not in the other, that the North was essentially Republican in every aspect of its political existence, while that of Mexican America was as essentially composed of kingdoms and empires and governed by despotic monarchs, and that republics were interwoven with them. That each man in the North was a warrior and an equal, acknowledging no superior but their leader in the time of battle, and should he fall in action, there was not a member of the tribe in which they politically lived, but could have taken his place and filled it with similar courage and ability. Which is true, as I said, the natives of North America are much more righteous than the natives of Central and South America. We know this. However, were the Israelites righteous? Go read the Bible. They were overthrowing each other. They were fighting for high priests, fighting for rulership, warring against each other. They're doing all of that. So that only proves who these people are. And when you read the brother of Jared, Aki said a prayer that none of the wicked in North America would be able to prosper in that land. So that's why you had all these different nations here, like the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Egyptians, and they never stuck. They had to go to other lands. They could be here, but they couldn't set up shop here for that long because they would get swept off. Right? So, this argument is not really I should say practical, but we're gonna take his information. Let's see what he says. In Mexican America, which is Central and South, they were not equal, but from the emperor they descended by degrees to serf and slave. In that country, stone and shuck wait, I don't know what that is. Stuccoed temples and palaces were and still continue to be founded, erected with costly magnificence, in which were jeweled idols to which they bent the knee. Their rich dwellings were splendid mansions, adorned with sepulchred and beaten gold, and graced with works of art, and as a people enjoying all the refined elegancies of life. But in the north, their temple was the azure canopy of Yahawah, adorned with its myriads of golden stars, and when beneath that sublime dome they bent the knee, it was to the Almighty God alone. Their palaces were the gorgeous vistas of the forests, the columns were the gigantic trees, each year increasing in their stateliness. The shadowy and painted roofs were the far-spreading branches, and nature's tinted foliage. Their mansions were those of independent wanderers, even the simple tents of Israel. And as for jeweled idols and figures of beaten gold, they presented the diamonds of the human eye, radiant with intellectual beams, and glancing from the living emblem of the first and priceless image placed in Eden's garden by the architect of the universe. Now, my brother, he shared with me a book that said the Indians of the West Coast were the biggest idolaters, right? So he has to be talking about the Indians of the East Coast or the ones in Canada, right? And second, the Indians did not only believe in, the Almighty God alone, they believed in Mother Earth as well. So what is he talking about? They believe in, all the different spirits. And again, the Indians of the North are much more righteous than the Indians of Central and South America. I'm well aware of that. But everything that he said here about there being rulership and they're having little idols made out of gold, what does that sound like? Like, come on now. Like, Notwithstanding these essential opposites in character and policy, to which may have added that of physiognomy, writers have glanced at them as one race. So you're saying that they look exactly the same, they're built exactly the same, but they're doing different things. Because they are from one race. They're all from Shem. Specifically, they're all from Abraham. Maybe not every single last one of them, because you have some Canaanites in the mix, and whatever. You have some people, some children of Lot. I understand that. But the majority of these people are all the same people. They're all from Jacob. Remember, what is the blessing of Israel? People always forget this. It is the blessing of reproduction. Right? Sprung from the same branch of human family, and without defining which, and when they could not reconcile such apparently unaccountable distinctions and diversities, they have thrown upon the shoulders of the Mexican the mantle of manly virtue belonging to the North, and upon this race they have thrust the idolatrous vices and the festering robes of luxury justly claimed by the former people, and by this easy manner of disposing of a question have seemingly satisfied themselves that by blending the crimes of both to the exclusion of the virtues of either, that they were all savages, and no matter from whence they came. Pretty much, I'm starting to get a sense of why he's saying this. This guy just sounds like a racist bastard, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm looking over here. My eyes are going over here, and of course, he's going to start talking about the Welsh Prince Madoc, right? And talk about what his people built, and talk about how these people were so righteous. I already know where this is going. Where this racist bastard is going to go with this. So really, he's just talking about a certain group of Indians and another certain group of Indians. So he is going to talk well about his Edomite family members, you know, the Madoc Indians, the Iroquois or whatever the hell, and then he's going to trash on the Israelites. It's, you know, it is what it is, man. But he is correct that you know, the Indians of North America were more righteous than the Indians of Central and South America. But let me move down. Because he said something about the West Indies. I'm curious. But let's read from here. The shadow of the earth upon the moon during an eclipse plainly testified that the planet above which we live was round. No. What? Oh my goodness. See, this guy's is hijacked Central. The Indians told your ass. The Indians of North America know that this place is not no damn ball. What are you talking about? The travels of Marco Polo by land to the East Indies related that those lands stretched far towards the east. About 2 centuries after this occurred to Columbus upon pursuing those travels, but more especially from having obtained intelligence from the final conquest of the Canary Islands, scrolling down, and discovered that the island of St. Salvador and those adjacent, and thinking that he had reached the eastern extremity of the Indies according to his theory, he then named those isles the West Indies because they were discovered by sailing west. Alright, let's move down. Okay, I think this is what I wanted to get into. The Hebrew analogies now claim investigation, and as woman is first in the afflictions or affections, and in memory she claims by right upon this, as upon all occasions, the natural precedence. The northern mother, after childbirth, is secluded for a given number of days, varying according to the sex of the newborn infant. By the law of Moses, the mother's purification was to last 40 days for a male and 80 days for a female child. All other seclusions are as strict as when the wife becomes a mother. Okay, what's your point? What's your point, bro? What's your point? From this fact, an important problem is solved. The apparent tardiness in the ratio increase of the Aborigines of the North, for it is the rule in nature's female code, and should there be an exception, only proves the rule, that while the affection continues from the fond practice of the mother, no other shall arise to destroy that which already exists. But as that ceases and the firstborn is put away, nature, jealous of her supremacy, again bestows upon the mother a second joy, and so continues in her undeviating course. There is also a direct physical analogy between the northern mothers and those of ancient Israel. What is your point? Alright, let me just skip down. Noise all day. The northern Aborigines have a traditional knowledge of the deluge and the dove of peace, which to them, under the name of the medicine or mystery bird, is sacred from the arrow of the hunter. They have their Ark of the Covenant, in which is deposited yeah, that's what it is, some mystery, seen only by the priests of the tribe. It is said to be a shell and supposed to give out oracular sounds. I don't even know what that is. It is an analogy to the book of the laws placed in the Ark of Covenant by Moses preceding his death on Mount Nebo. Oracular wisdom of which has guided civilization to this day. The Ark is never surfaced to touch the earth, but always raised on a stand of wood or stone. Okay. Carried by a tribe to battle. Let me see. These Aborigines dwell in booths, and when brought out of the land of Egypt, they are still wanderers. They offer a flesh or burnt offering from the chase, which is first cast into the flames, before even an starving family may eat. They have their corn and harvest feast, also one in observance, every new moon, other in festivity of the first fruits, and the great feast in direct analogy with the Hebrew Passover, even to the blood being stained upon the posts and lintels. Okay, so they keep the law of Aaron. Okay, let me see. The medicine bag pouch or pouch is carried by every member of the tribe. What are you going to talk about? Hold up. Okay, he talked about it there. All right. So they practice circumcision. For circumcision was discontinued by the great lawgiver for 40 years. During his journeying with his followers through the wilderness, the custom was reestablished by Joshua. May not this innovation by Moses and the covenanted custom be emanated by these descendants? Are they still wanderers in the wilderness in the western, as their ancestors were in the eastern hemisphere? Okay. So, anyway, dodge the hijack. But at least he knows that these people, they came there, they went there. They didn't necessarily originate in, I guess, the East Coast or the Northeast or wherever he's referring to, because he really cannot be talking about the West Coast. No disrespect to the brothers out there, but we're not originally, righteous. No, no. And I'll show you. Don't worry if you don't agree. That's fine. I'll show you. One fact is of great importance in proof of their great antiquity. They have no knowledge or tradition in the north of the life or crucifixion of Christ, yet they have knowledge of the deluge and actually practice the laws of Moses. Again, we must repeat that we are writing of these aborigines as they were at the time of European colonization. The above singular fact enables us to at once to place them in a chronological position. It must be after Moses, but before the Savior. But another fact brings their circle of time still narrower. They have no tradition of the destruction of the first temple of Jerusalem. Wow. So what is this trying to say? What is it trying to say? They left there before the Babylonians. That sounds like the Book of Mormon. This event occurred 580 years, okay, whatever, before Christ. It must therefore be interior or anterior to the national calamity that they trace their origin. Of this hereafter, when in the next volume the history of the Israelites will be given. But even now, justice to this race compels us to offer few words in their defense as a people, for being already sufficiently shown that they are of the great Hebrew family, that they may fall in the estimation of some readers upon religious principles. It has been shown that they have no tradition of the crucifixion or the desolation of the temple. Now, this isn't this funny that the Mayans actually practiced circumcision? They knew of the Holy Trinity, but they're not Israelites, right? Doesn't make any sense, bro. We knew, the South and Central Americans knew about Hamashiach. They knew about him. The people in Africa knew about him, right? They knew about him. So come on now. And that's why you had people claim that Motsah visited them and taught them great things. Is there no sentiment in the mind of the Christian reader as the first fact is unfolded, other than that of historical data? Upon a moment's thought, it must be apparent that the blood of Christ cannot be upon them or their children. Their ancestors never shouted in the streets of Jerusalem, "Crucify him, crucify him." Excuse me. The Aborigines of the North are Israelites in the house of Jeroboam, not Jesus. So they're saying that these people are from Joseph, the house of Jeroboam, that's Ephraim, not Jesus, the house of Judah, a distinction of all importance as the pages of the subsequent volume will prove. The custom of scalping cannot be said with truth to the original with the northern native. It has, however, been asserted as proof that they are more modern as a people than this theory would establish, but the declaration melts into thin air, from the fact that both Herodias and Polybius mention scalping as being practiced among the most ancient nations of the world. The assertion, therefore, has only brought forward this refutation. Scalping was introduced originally by the ancients for the express purpose of counting and recording the number of the foe slain in battle, and especially this custom practiced by the Scythians. And by the way, the natives only scalp people because they were doing it to them, so they just did it back to them. This is established upon the authority of the accurate Herodias. For the same reason is the custom followed by the Aborigines of the North. To the number of the slain of the enemy. Again, Scythia was the ancient name of the country, now known by the modern name Tatari. This is important as will be shown in the next volume in tracing the encampments of the Israelites after their escape from captivity. For in the Scythian Tatari they will be found, and consequently the custom may have been derived from their own remote ancestors who obtained it from the Scythians. Bro. But people talk about how, oh, the Scythians, they were all one thing. Again, the northern kingdom was scattered around Asia. And he just told you that these people are related to the Scythians in some sort of way. But they're Israelites. So when you're finding DNA markers in Siberia, that means they are Israelites. It doesn't mean that these are Siberians. It means the Siberians are Israelites. Some of them are, at least. The custom with both was, and in the north still is, only a trophy of the dead, and therefore the scalp is never taken from a living enemy. Polybius, however, has a draconian record that upon the occasion of Gisco the Carthaginian being made prisoner together with 700 of his soldiers, they were all scalped alive by the rebel mercenaries under Spondius. Okay. So I'm gonna leave this in the library, and you guys can read it because I'm going to make more videos on this, and you're gonna get sick of me, but he's making some claims, but you have to also know how to dodge the hijack because people, they use the CC, the Mexicans are Canaanites. No, it only proves who they are. It only proves where the lands of Israel were. Again, I'm going to ask you this. Why would the Most High send them over here? They didn't come to North America until much later. They came to the South. The Most High sent them to certain places. He sent them to the South. Sent them to the south of North America. He sent them to... Okay, we're back. I had to, whatever. But I was just looking at this before I unpaused it, and I was just like, whoa. So I want to read this real quick before I end the video. I forgot what I was saying before, so I'm sorry if if it's weird. You're just like, well, he was just in the middle of talking about something. I don't remember. But let's read this. It may be here mentioned again, and to the eternal honor of the northern Aborigines, and as a stern reproof to the wars of civilization, that they have never been known to violate a female captive among their own race, upon the principle that it is placed shame upon the warrior's glory. This noble manhood has also extended the same mercy to the white female prisoner as to those of their own color. Is there not the ancient Hebrew even in this? And is not their national abhorrence to interunion with any people but their own traceable in this custom, hey, I could definitely relate to that because I ain't touching none of the Yetius, none of the uh, nymphs. I'm good, bro. I'm good. They also, upon the same principle, will not marry or cohabit with the pale face race, or with any not of their own blood. We write of the Aborigines as they were, and of this mass. There may be on the on the frontiers some solitary exceptions after their acquaintance with the Anglo-Saxon race, but oftener among the women than the men. This arises not less from less virtue. This arises not from less virtue than the opposite sex, but and with shame may be but with shame be it written with the seduction, treachery, and desertion by the European. Most truly might a chieftain reply to a missionary who endeavored to convert a tribe. Teach us what? Oh, no, sorry. Teach us what? My son has been murdered, my daughter ravished by the white man. Learn first yourselves to obey the mandates of humanity and prove that we do not practice them. Then come among us to preach or teach, and we will receive you with open arms. When shall we meet again upon this condition? O earth, white man, never. Bravo, 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 bravo. Listen, man, I don't got no hate for anyone, but when I hear stuff like that, I'm angered. And good, I should be angered because I like justice. I like righteousness. And if you like justice and righteousness, you should be angered too. That's not something that you should be like, well, it just happens and we just got to come together. Okay, that's what you want to do. To each his own. Me, I'm not procreating with no damn, sea monsters and cavemen. You gotta be kidding me. Especially what these people have done to us. I'm sickened by these people, and they've been after our women this entire time. This entire time, they've been after the Israelite women because they're known as the most beautiful women. So they've been after them the whole time. And they've had their fun, but that fun's coming to an end. And the thing is that uh, we can't even do it back because your women are tore back. But you know, it is what it is, man. The marriage of the Virginian Aboriginal Pocahontas was after her baptism in the Christian faith, and consequently cannot be brought to bear against the preceding remarks. And that's why that Christianity stuff is, oh my goodness, man. All that stuff, when it was brought to our people, it was to weaken the men and to take our women. That was all it was for. It was not to bring us righteousness. But through that, hopefully we learned righteousness. And we stop, being wicked. Because as it says, what have they done to the Indians of South and Central America? What they did there was worse. There, in the South and the southern states of the United States, what they did there are worse than anywhere else. In Mexico, oh my bro, I can't read it. I can't read it. Listen, man, the reason why I might sound angry is because even though we did a certain thing, even though we were wicked as hell, as it says here, as it says in a bunch of different places, you went too far, or not you, because whatever, but the Gentiles went too far. The Most High knows they went too far. All the Most High did was take away our protection and just let them do what they wanted to us, and just gave us, and just pretty much held us on by like a string until they ate everything. How do you think it feels to be a father, see your daughter get raped, have your son murdered, your seed line murdered? your wife killed or raped. And you think I'm supposed to love anyone? I don't have any love for anyone. I'll love you after you get your ass whooping. How about that? After you have justice appointed to you and your forefathers, then I'll have some love for you. And I'm dead serious about that. Listen, you got to be cleaned the same way we had to be cleaned. You know, once you go through your trials, all is forgiven. But not until then. I'll tolerate you until I don't have to tolerate you anymore, because I really don't want to. I'm not gonna lie to you. Many other religious customs and ceremonies exist of a minor character, yet strictly the analogy with the race of Abraham. But enough has been brought forward in this volume to propose these, as we believe, unanswerable questions. If they are not the lost tribes of Israel, who are they? What nation of ancient history can claim and identify those customs and observances as their own, if not the Hebrew? The thing is that their customs and beliefs, their stuff is much more pure. So how the hell is Israel anywhere else? Doesn't make any sense. But that's all I'm gonna go over for this. Actually, he mentions Rehoboam again. Let's check this out real quick. Their undaunted and chivalric personal courage is the very counterpart of that evinced upon the plains of Jericho, or in after times before the walls of Jerusalem. Then their God-like love of perfect freedom, the spirit of Jeroboam, did not die in the first rebellion and victory against tyranny. It lives in this nation's descendants in the north, at invasions or encroachment, as they rise as one man to crush their oppressor, and which fact every record from the Pilgrim Fathers to present day will testify, in all their battles, and their name is Legion. Okay, well, I think that's all we have to read. Dang, I'm gleaming. I'm sorry. Hold up. Let me see. Hold on. Just a little bit more. Now, in every physical characteristic of the northern did the Mexican differ, so as Central and South America, they bore no analogy as being of the same race, either in feature, courage, endurance, or general religion. See, he's mad disrespectful, but okay, this is what he has to say about the Central and South Americans. In Mexican America, Cortez, with only 500 Spaniard soldiers, and those worn and dispirited, drove 50,000 Mexicans from the field of Otumba. They fled like snowflakes before the wind when their standard was seized by a Spaniard. But in the north, the fight was man to man, and no retreat, death or victory. Jerusalem or the grave. This guy is a bastard. What the hell? This is what he thinks of the Israelites, man. He's pretty much saying the Mexicans are some punk ass niggas, bro. I'm gonna just say it. That's what he's calling y'all. Every chieftain of the north, even upon a supposition of flight from a superior foe, either in number or prowess, may be imagined to have uttered the last words of Judas Maccabeus, when in his final battle he was opposed by 20 times his own force. God forbid that I should do this thing and flee from them. If our time come, let us die manfully from our brethren, and not stain our honor. That's beautiful, bro. That's some man stuff, bro. Oh man, that's cool, man. Hey, I love Judas Maccabeus, man. That was a bad dude. Some of the Mexican nations worship idols and knew not God, for they sacrifice human beings to perpetuate, propitiate, I don't know what that is, their savage deities. Not so the noble northerners. They worship the one God who declared to the first lawgiver, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me," and their only human sacrifice is the invader of their lands and birthright. The only two analogies that existed between the North and the Mexican America, or American, and which might apparently destroy or prevent the proof of this theory are, first, circumcision, and second, the similitude of language. In the North, circumcision, as we have shown, is a religious ceremony only. In the Mexican territories, it was both optional and religious. This strange and apparent stumbling block, and by the way of proving that they are a different race, will be removed as we proceed. For as far from enduring the proofs of the territory, it absolutely supports them, as does also the analogy in language. These important points, circumcision language, will be met in their respective places and in original manner of application, for they form two of the most substantial evidences and were primitive causes for our belief in the subject contemplated by this work, and especially in reference to that portion having Christianity for its basis. But you know what's ironic about that? Um, Christianity, or the coming of Hamashiach, he made circumcision optional. Because circumcision, it doesn't have righteous roots. He had to give it to Abraham because of the wickedness that they did after the flood. And I don't know, it was before the flood. I think Japheth established circumcision, if I'm not mistaken, or it was someone else. But they were the ones who did it, and because they did it, now it has to be established. I'm gonna read a little bit more. Promise this time, just these last 2 pages. An essential contrast between the Aborigines is the fact that in the North, they have, as already stated, no tradition of the crucifixion, while in the other portion of the continent, and for centuries before the rediscovery by Columbus, they had a perfect knowledge of every particular of the life and death of Christ. Again, in this part of the continent, there are stone agricultural ruins. In the North, there are none. That's just, bro, this guy is just trying to be ignorant. But as he just said, in Central and South America, they knew about him. In North America, not so much. May we continue. Again, in this part of the continent, there are stone agricultural ruins. In the North, there are none. They possess there, but embankments, Marathonian mounds, or tumuli, I don't know. These undeniable and characteristic opposites in Northern and Mexican America, increased by the late discovery of the ruined cities in Guatemala and the adjacent provinces, together with 15 years of personal observation in America, to which may be added a practical knowledge of the fine arts, enthusiasm in research, and mature reflection upon the entire subject, have authorized the formation of, as we believe, the original theory concerning the history of the Aborigines of the two great divisions of the Western Hemisphere. For the unfolding of the present volume, we state that they consist of two distinct races or people. This will be, without doubt, admittedly from the facts in the previous pages, that South America, nationally speaking, included what is at present called Central America, and as consequence the ancient cities now in ruins belong to the same general empire. What? The empire of Central and South America are the same thing. So now I have to rethink. Who are the Mayans, bro? Who are the Olmec? I don't even know anymore, man. I really don't know. Where did Lehigh land? Was it in Guatemala? Was it in Florida? I don't know. It's hard to know, man. That South, or as we have termed it in the preceding pages, Mexican America, was inhabited interior to that of North. That the Aborigines of Mexican America and the West India Islands were the ancient Tyrians of Phoenicia, and they that landed on the western continent from their native country for more than 2,000 years ago. This is confirmed by tradition, analogies, history, and prophecy. So they're trying to say that that the people of South, Central, and the West Indies are the Phoenicians, the people of Phoenicia, the Tyrians, the people of Tyre and Sidon. That's what they're trying to say, right? Okay. Well, that's what he wants to think. But again, we were wicked as hell. So if we are the Canaanites, it's because we had such a close relationship to the Canaanites. We worship them like white gods. And this is see, he had the opposite. I guess I don't know. He had the opposite effect because he thought that he would disprove that they're Israelites. This only proves that they are. So I appreciate this, and let me read this again. They had a perfect knowledge of every particular of the life and death of Christ. Shalom, Selah Kala.